Happy lunch hour, guys. All right, so it is Wednesday lunch, and some of you guys were on the live stream last night, so you're going to kind of have an idea what this was, what I'm going to talk about here. But assessing the situation, I've spent my morning kind of going around and looking to see what happened last night. Now, for those of you guys who aren't aware, we had a one hell of a storm come through for about 45 minutes last night. And it rained so hard, and you'll see what I'm talking about, but it rained so hard that I had a river in my front yard. It only rained for 45 minutes, guys. I have not seen that since the year we moved into the house in 2019. But I want to kind of explain to you a little bit of what was going on yesterday and how things can change, and you need to be paying attention to, of all things, the weather. Okay, so we start with yesterday morning, and the first thing that I was going to do, got out about 7:30 in the morning, and I decided I was going to go pick my potatoes, right? So I took a little bit of video here. I wanted to show you what it was. It's an 8-foot by 24-foot patch of potatoes, okay? And this was, up to that point, my haul of potatoes. Doing pretty good. So I got 84 pounds of red potatoes. I was pretty happy. Add those onto my 59 pounds of potatoes that I got out of whites, and okay, I've got 140 some odd pounds of potatoes. Not bad from saving seed potatoes from last year and doing all that. So, as the morning rolled along, about 9 o'clock, my excavators showed up, and this was to fill the pond. And I had told you guys about what I was doing is I was going to take the water, divert the water that came down the road here, which side of the mountain, so it's coming down a hill, and I was going to divert it into a drain and run it to the pond. So if you look here, this is when the guys were out here. You can see the little box there on the left-hand side. That's the receptacle. And then they're digging the trench. No, that's just the guys digging out right around the concrete. They're using a trencher for this, not digging by hand. So this is the trench. I think it ran about 210 feet to run water all down here. And as we get to the end of the video here, you'll see the guy with the trencher there. But so that was the game plan, all right? And then when we get to the end, obviously, this is what I was using as a diverter. And what that is 25 feet of fire hose filled with 200 pounds of sand. So what I'm going to do with that, or what I did with that, was laid it over the street up on an angle. It's 2.5 inches, okay? So I figure as the water comes down, it'll hit that fire hose with the sand, and it'll divert into that receptacle there, go through the pipe, and fill the pond. That was the game plan, okay? So before last night's storm, I took video because I want to see before and after. This is what the pond looked like yesterday afternoon. If you can see, the water line is right there at the left side of the stumps, okay? So that is where I was starting with this. Now, I'll give you where we went. It rained so hard yesterday that when Mrs. P and I dragged that fire hose out over the driveway, or over the street, the pressure of the water was coming down the road so hard that it pushed that 200 pounds worth of fire hose filled with sand out of the way. So we had it all the way across the street, and it just pushed it right down the street. You think water is not powerful? I mean, this is this much water, guys, okay? Maybe an inch or whatever coming down a hill. Water's powerful. So our next step was to try to not make it so bad. So we put it on a U. Went in maybe about 2 feet, 3 feet into the drive, and just made a big U so what was coming off that one edge went to the receptacle. That was enough to catch the water. That was more than the the box can handle, and I think that I looked it up yesterday, I think the box can handle 348 gallons a minute. So to give you an idea how much water was coming down that hill, 348 gallons a minute, that's almost 6 gallons a second, guys. Okay. So that was the drive to fill the pond. Well, this is what it looks like after 45 minutes of rain when I took video of it this morning. All right. So you can see it gained, 10 horizontal feet there or whatever it would be. Pretty good. So I'm going to consider this a success. I'm going to have to figure out, though, by the strength of the storm, where to put my diverter. But at least we know it works. So I have a chance to fill the pond because I've never had this much water in the pond before. My sealant's supposed to come next week, so I will put that in. And then it's supposed to rain. We're supposed to have thunderstorms all next week. So maybe I'll have the pond filled soon. But so that wasn't it. So I wanted to go around the rest of the property and take a look and see what else happened. All right. I lost a couple of corn stalks. Just so much water, so much wet. Even with their stabilizing roots, they couldn't hold, they tipped. Okay. So I lost a couple of corn stalks. Well, that's fine. I didn't lose the whole crop. This one right here is interesting. If you remember what those are, that's my root cellar, guys. There was so much water in the ground, it pushed those trash cans out of the ground. Now, I went and looked at them this morning when I took this video, and the water has all receded, so I can drop them back in the hole. But to give you an idea, again, how much rain we got, these are things that you have to be cognizant of when, as a prepper, as a homesteader, whatever it would be. All right, let's try this again because the camera fell over. They weren't filled with potatoes or anything of the sort. They were empty. But even then, for enough water to build up in the ground, think of how high a trash can is, 3.5 feet, okay, was able to push those out of the ground, completely out of the ground. So that was something that I've got to now go fix. Not that repairs or anything that nobody that does anything in regards to living out in the country isn't familiar with. So let's look at the last thing. And this is the one we talked about last night on the video that I went and looked at. And this is Frankensquash. There it is on the ground, okay? And you can see just by the ground, the water. There was a little one that was almost completely buried by the sand and dirt that had run over it, okay? So I brought it, I took the big one there that's in the picture, and I brought it in. So here's the picture. So you figure it's almost the height of my head. It's pretty much the shape of my head, too, okay? It is ribbed, as you can see it. It's got some dark green to it. I have no idea if this is ripe, okay, because I don't know what it is, all right? If it's supposed to get darker green or whatever, I don't know. So this is Frankensquash. And what I want to do is I want to cut it open so you guys can see the inside of it. So let me do that. I'll show you that here in a second. All right. So there's the inside of a squash. And this is why I'm saying yesterday, it looks like a honeydew. Obviously, it's not a honeydew melon. It's certainly a squash. What in the world is this? Figure that out, okay? I don't know. It is very sweet. It tastes very good, okay? But the interesting part is I planted acorn squash seeds, and I know that's primarily what I got because I've got nice acorn squash out there, and they're just getting dark green, and they're just about ready to harvest. And I'll probably go out and grab one this afternoon, and we'll have it for dinner tonight because Mrs. P's never had acorn squash before. What is this, guys? I know on the live stream last night we asked all sorts of questions, and everybody had 1,000,001 ideas, but you can tell it's not a spaghetti squash, okay? It looks like a honeydew melon. And I can't tell you what, try to explain the taste, but even if we look at the seed, and this is going to be, I'm going to see how I can do this. Where is it? Can you see the seed? That's definitely a squash seed. That's not a melon seed. So I have no idea what this is. Somebody said in the live stream last night, who knows, maybe it's a new version of squash, the pinball squash. I don't know. But if anybody knows what this is, please tell me so I can figure out what the hell I got. So there's a non-politics, non-current event, just, well, current events, but current events in my life. Okay, like, that's real important. But there's a happy, no pressure, no stress lunchtime video. There probably will be the pinball all fired up video later today. Depends on what's going on. See y'all later. Pinball out.